Did you catch last week's Bending Road random ramblings? We talked about the 10 absolutes. Yeah, they're called 10 commandments, but I think we need to understand that these are not just suggestions. These are absolutes. These are non-negotiables. I want to talk a little bit more about that today. How are the bends in your road? Sometimes we're moving too fast and they are hard to navigate, and sometimes we don't even see them coming. I hope your bends are smooth and gentle. But no matter how your road bends, I know that God will see us through. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to catch other videos along the way. Welcome back to the Bending Road. Glad you could join me today. Yeah, today is a gloomy day. I don't know why I always start by telling you what the weather's doing. I don't know what the weather's doing there, but boy, yesterday was absolutely gorgeous, and we were out in the sunshine. It felt so good. It was warm, and today we are cold. And it's gloomy out there, but anyway, yeah, last week I talked about the 10 absolutes, right? And how the 10 commandments work to our benefit, how they are given to us by God for ourselves, for managing ourselves. Today I want to talk a little bit more about this, but I want to look at these 10 non-negotiables in relationship to our community. You know, they're not just a structure for self-behavior. They're also a structure for our society, right? What is God's ideal for our society? Remember, these were given to Israel as a nation, as a society, as a group of people who were trying to live together. So as you look through these commandments, these 10 commandments, you see what God's ideal is for his God-fearing community, marked by a common worship. If you look at commandments 1, 2, and 3, right? And there's an accepted rhythm of work and rest to keep us healthy. That's number 4, work and rest and worship. And then number 5 and 7, that's an unqualified respect for marriage and family. I mean, there's got to be that respect for marriage and family. I mean, that's the foundation for our social progress, for our social functioning. First is our relationship with God, and then our relationship within the family. And then there's his rules around property and ownership rights. Yeah, I mean, that's important. It was important to God. This is my stuff, right? And I have a right to my stuff. Commandments 8 and 10. And then for human life and each person's claim on protection, number 6, right? And then number 9, for truth and honesty in all relationships. These are all key, right? God first, family second, community, ownership, right relationship, sanctity of human life. All of that is third. It's not there. It's third. That doesn't mean it's less important. It's part of that God-fearing community. I think I got to thinking about this, that's the commandments as applied to self-practice, as those guardrails for living, right living for self, and the right living in society, they're actually one and the same, right? If we apply God's commandments, God's law, to ourselves, putting God first, family second, and third, treating others and their property, and well, then society would be fine, right? If we applied them to ourselves, the social aspect would work just the way it's supposed to. Unfortunately, we don't live in that kind of world. We live in a world of rationalistic individualism. right? Rationalistic individualism. I am always right, and I am the only one who matters. If I am wrong, there must be a reason, so it's okay, and I'm still right, and I'm still the only one who matters, right? And that's the kind of culture we live in. I don't know. I get such a kick out of watching some of the YouTube shorts or the TikTok videos, and they're ranting and raving about this injustice that was done to them. And of course, they are right. No matter what they did. Yes, they were going 25 miles over the speed limit. Yes, they got nasty with the police officer when he pulled them over. Yes, they refused to get out of the car or whatever. And yet they are still right. They will go away in handcuffs demanding that they are still right. How do you do that? How do you do that? Right? I don't know. It's just a crazy world we live in. And we've lost that cement that holds society together, which is God's law. You know, we love that there are blessings that come along with our relationship with God and obedience, and we'll just hang right on to those blessings that we're promised. But boy, we refuse to acknowledge that there are curses for disobedience, don't we? I mean, we want to get rid of that part. You know, that we want to stick with the blessings, stick with the blessings, talk about the blessings. That makes us feel good. That's what we want to hear about. I don't want to hear about the curses. Well, you know what? If we're disobedient, it affects ourselves. If we're disobedient, it affects our society. If we are disobedient, we fall under the curses. I think it's fascinating to me that at one point, society, personal behavior, and our Christianity, even our government, it was inseparable. I mean, it was all just one big package. The scriptures ruled our behavior, which ruled our society, which ruled our culture, which ruled our government. The whole thing was all part of one. It was part of the same package, but boy, there's been this slow erosion. And eventually, we've come to a place where we really don't have one common moral standard. We got talking about it the other day, and there seems to be this right to use violence to get our way. You know, I think about the attempt on the president's life again. You know, and in some circles, that's okay because it's justified, right? Even when I'm wrong, there must be a reason, therefore I'm okay. It just isn't right. There's no moral standard, right? Thou shalt not kill, period. That's it. Thou shalt not kill. Don't do it. You know, and you don't have a right to go shoot somebody because you don't like their political agenda. You don't have that right. And I said to Dave, I said, you know, there was a day where children were punished. Now, I am not about beating children, but okay, there was a day where a slap on the fanny was absolutely appropriate. Did it hurt? Yeah, it hurt. Did it straighten them up? Yeah. And it made them not want to do that behavior again. Well, we've gotten away from that. And we've gotten away, again, from accepting the fact that there are curses that come along with disobedience from God. Because there's now no longer curses, punishment that comes along with obedience as children to our parents. And even the law, the social law, you know, we don't worry about punishment there. You know, you can plead to a lesser charge and get off for nothing after what? Killing somebody? Stealing something? Yeah, we've lost that consequences for our actions. And we don't worry about that anymore. God's values, God's desire for us, it's ignored. And the only community ideal is permissiveness. Do what you want. Do what feels good. So where then does the moral capital come from? Where do we get that foundation of what is right? It used to come from the Christian legacy. We are in this really weird place where it causes me to ask the question, are we in the place we're in where people feel it's necessary to carry a gun on them all the time, where they're practicing self-defense, where they're always looking over their shoulder, where we lock our cars and our houses up tighter than a drum, where we're afraid to be in big places with a lot of people. I personally would never go see the president. I wouldn't want to be that close to him, not because I like him or don't like him. It's because I'm afraid of what somebody's going to try to do to him, and I don't want to be caught in the crossfire. We live in a weird place. And is that due to bad people? Do we suddenly have this world of bad people? Or is it the lack of consequences and the level of permissiveness? Or is it God's judgment because of the apostasy, because of the disregard for what he says is right? Apostasy is the abandonment or the renunciation, right? The disregard for a belief or principle. We've really given up on God. We've given up on his law. We've given up on his church, his moral standard that he's laid down for us. So is it because somehow people have become bad and they never were bad before, or we just have more bad people, or maybe the bad people are more bold? Is it because they're simply bad? Or is it because we live in a world where we're suffering the curses of disobedience? Romans 1:28 says, "Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God," hear that, just as they didn't think it was worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to depraved minds, so that they would do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, depravity. They are full of envy and murder and strife and deceit and malice. Sound familiar? Turn on the evening news. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. And although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. Turn on the evening news at some point and listen to the approval of those who go after our president, of the protection of those who harm innocent people. You see it all the time. All of this evil, they've become filled with every kind of wickedness. God has given them over to their depraved minds so that they do what they should not be doing. You know, we also see, we hear I'm sorry, but it generally comes from the Democrats. If you find a Republican saying these things, shoot it to me. I would love to hear it. But you hear the many Democrats saying, not all, many, well, you know, he's a fascist, he's a dictator, he needs to be taken out. All of the MAGA people need to be taken out. Okay, well, I'm not saying whether you agree or disagree with the president or the MAGA movement or whatever. Forget that for a minute. Should we be saying that anybody should be taken out? No, that's against God's law. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't do these things. Don't do these things. I don't care what the rationale is. Don't do these things. How can an overall reduction, a destruction of the happiness in our world be avoided when the scriptures clearly tell us, it lays out a plan? Put God first, others next, self last. When that ideal is rejected, how can we get away from this loss of happiness? Why are so many people depressed? Why are there so many people who are on medication, and yet we are still the most unhappy people in the world? Why is there not this level of depression in cultures who don't have medication for depression? Maybe they're practicing God's laws and they're not under that curse. God is calling us back to himself. I'm right now, we're working through the letters to the churches in Revelation, and the compromise, the immorality. Even when we don't denounce Christ himself, we're slowly creeping into the world. We're slowly leaning into what the world says is right. We've got to correct this. We have to correct this. We cannot live in total opposition to God's plan, to God's commandments, to God's ideal for society, and then fuss about the fact that we live in a dangerous world, in a depressed world. I know I've gone on a little long. I know that. This has been just so apparent as I read through Revelation, as I watch the news, as I think about the Ten Commandments. And again, I wanna recommend that book, J.I. Packer's book, Growing in Christ. I want to recommend that to you, and I'll put that information in the notes. I also want to remind you of our challenge, right? Every day this week, I hope you were doing this last week, but every day this week, read through the Ten Commandments, Exodus 22 through 17, and Deuteronomy 5, 6 through 21. They're not long. Read through those every day. And I didn't get time in this video to read Psalm 119, but I encourage you, read Psalm 119 every day. Every day. It just solidifies that. And I hope you take that challenge on. If you haven't started yet, that's okay. Start today. Start today. You know, I hope you consider these things. I hope you share them around. I think we need to hear this message. I think we need to live into this message. Live into the blessings of God, not the curses. No. But we need to take those curses seriously. I hope you have a great week. I will see you next week along the bending road. I am so glad we can travel along this bending road together. You can connect with me on social media or on my website at bendingroad.weebly.com. I would love to pray for you as you navigate the bends in your road. And when the bends in your road come, do not be afraid. Take the hand of God and keep walking. You are not alone.